which
make
we
that-
need to respond to tonight.
I will make that motion to waive policy for that reason, because we're kind of under the clock on this one.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Vino, seconded by Mr. O'Leary. All in favor of waiving policy, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Mr. Belliconis, you want to kind of,
You've seen a copy of the decision from the ABCC. They've requested that the board establish subsidiary findings, which are findings in more depth than those that were offered by the board previously in the denial of the Senate Cafe common victual wine and malt beverage license. For your review and consideration, there've been two motions that have been put in the packet this evening. Both are available to you for your consideration. I've been in contact with the ABCC through town council, and their understanding of the fact that the board is meeting this evening, and they will look forward to receiving the board's decision, whatever it is, shortly after this meeting. So I would expect by Wednesday, we will be notifying them in mail as to what the board has decided this evening.
my understanding is that the options, I guess we have a lot of different options, but as Greg has pointed out, we can decide to modify our position with specific rules and regulations. We can not do anything, in which case the ABC would, ruling would take place, basically. We can provide the information to back up the decision that the board made. We could schedule another hearing or not. I just lay them all out as things to do. As you recall, the board's position was on a 3-2 vote. So I think, based on that, I think the majority of the members who voted should at least lead this discussion.
Well, Mr. Chair.
Unless someone has changed their mind.
Well, that's what I'm going to suggest. And I'm going to move to grant the Senate Cafe the liquor license with the restrictions as noted in motion number 9. Mr. Chairman, I move to grant a common victual/wine and malt beverage license to Gatherings, Inc., DBA, the Senate Cafe, 118 Park Street, Sandra Del Greco, manager, to expire December 31st, 2009, subject to all regulatory department requirements and the following additional conditions. 1, alcohol beverages shall be served only in conjunction with food service. 2, closing time shall be not later than 10:30 p.m. 3, the establishment shall be limited to 1 television for customers.
I could second that motion if, in fact, you could capture the time between 4:30 and 10:30, which I think was my original.
That's correct. And the alcohol beverages shall be served between the hours of 4:30 and, you say, 10:30 p.m. As an additional condition on the license.
Okay, I'll second that motion. Further discussion
On the motion?
on the motion?
I'm not going to be in support of it. Again, as I stated previously, the location is not conducive to an alcohol license, just because of the physical location of it. Again, the people run a fine establishment, but the physical location of it, along with a whole host of other reasons that I don't want to belabor, because we've been through this a couple of 3 times anyway, I think based upon the recommendations of the police department, concerns raised by them, public safety concerns, quality of life in the neighborhood, and change of conditions for the neighborhood, along with the other reasons that I will articulate later, I think, do not necessarily warrant us to alter the quality of life in the neighborhood and jeopardize the public safety just because we're concerned about maybe having to fight this out a little bit in court or have the ABCC remanded back again. Again, the issues haven't changed, the location hasn't changed, the building hasn't changed, although there's a few fewer parking spots now, which might make it even a little more tighter. as far as their capacity, notice, but again, the basic concerns that were expressed back in April, and again at our other public hearings, have not been, and I don't believe can properly be addressed, just because of the physical location of the building. So I will not be in support of the motion before us, and I would be, again, recommending that we have the, then entertain, if this does not prevail, entertain a motion to deny and submit the subsidiary findings that the ABCC was looking for from the board. So I will not be supporting the motion as presented.
Any other comment? Mr.
Yes,
Vino?
my position has not changed. I did hear from the residents again, and I'm in agreement with Mr. O'Leary.
Anyone else? Comment?
I will not be in agreement with this either. The corner still has not changed. The lack of viewing while standing on the corner of the bridge, unable to see vehicles at night, more specifically, is a concern of mine. The vulnerability of the pedestrian. I think the agreement, so to speak, with the extra parking with the gas station is to me shaky at best. That can be changed any time. Many people would have to park in the mall, the small mall across the road anyway. They'll just do it, okay? And that's a risk crossing over. And the high speed of 62 is a concern as well. So I know that efforts were made to adjust the parking, to accommodate as best as they could. When viewing the parking lot, I noticed that there's a lot of snow taking up a good portion of the front or back, whatever you want to call it, parking. The size of the spots did not, or they fit, my Honda fit, but it didn't seem like anything larger would fit. You would still have to back out even from those locations, or back in. Either way, you'd have to be spending more time on Park Street to negotiate the in and out parking. So it's a safety issue for me. It concerns me, and I just don't want my signature on an accident waiting to happen. And unfortunately, that corner is, if not the worst corner that I know of in town, the second worst corner in town. So that's why I couldn't be in support of it.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just as a follow-up too, I appreciate the ABCC's providing the board with an opportunity to further clarify our positions based upon our testimony at the hearing, and I believe their viewing of a tape of our proceedings, our public hearing. I think they came to the conclusion that there were other ancillary and subsidiary findings that were not necessarily in the motion which we provided them, which was of the utmost concern and a subject of discussion at the hearing, whereby the motion that we made to deny them the second time was identical to the one we made the first time, so there's a little bit of concern on their part, because there was some testimony that the applicants had made some efforts to address some of the concerns initially found back in April. And I certainly appreciate the ABCC's providing us the opportunity to further clarify our reasons for denial, and I think we should take advantage of that. And I think we have them clearly articulated in a motion that we're ready to make once we dispose of this one.
Okay, on the motion, further discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
No.
Motion fails 3-2.
Mr. Chairman.
No.
No?
No.
Okay, I'll put it in writing.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. O'Leary.
Ready, you want to read it?
Oh, it's
Mr.
We're
Chairman.
not obligated to open the hearing, can you?
I'm not asking you to open a hearing at all.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the following subsidiary findings for the denial of the common victualers wine and malt beverage license for Gatherings, Inc., DBA The Center Cafe, 118 Park Street. 1, the Board of Selectmen finds the applicant failed to demonstrate adequate parking to serve the needs of public, employees, and delivery vehicles. A total of 17 parking spaces are provided on premises, of which 4 spaces are of limited use in meeting the parking needs of customers because they are blocked by other spaces. The proposed parking configuration proposed by the applicant is also deficient due to 12 spaces having to back onto the busy public road. Shared parking with an adjacent multifamily residential building serves to exacerbate the parking problems associated with this site. 2, the board finds that the applicant's purported informal agreement with a nearby gas station owner to provide additional off-premises parking did not satisfactorily address the lack of adequate and/or safe parking for the establishment. No written agreement was provided, and all parties acknowledge that there are insufficient on-premises parking. 3, the board did not find the applicant's testimony credible, asserting that the Park and Washington Street intersection is safe based on the board member's personal knowledge and recommendations provided by the police department. The police department questioned the location as being unsafe without substantial improvements due to the vehicles traveling at high speeds, poor street lighting, the width of the road, and lack of traffic and pedestrian cross signals. Road elevations in the area of the Park Street Bridge create a blind spot where drivers may be unable to see pedestrians crossing the road, particularly during the evening. The board further finds the North Reading Police Department's reports and testimony regarding traffic accidents at the intersection to be more relevant and reliable than Mass Highway reports submitted by the applicant. 4, the Board of Selectmen finds the location to be inappropriate for an alcoholic beverages license due to the proximity to residential properties, which will be inconvenienced by increased vehicle and pedestrian traffic. The applicant proposing to remain open until 10:30 p.m. is a substantial change in the character of the business at this location. The business now closes at 1:30 p.m., and evidence provided that there has never been an establishment at this location open at night. Although many individuals spoke in favor of the license, a similar number of residents spoke in opposition to the license, and the board believes this reflects on the lack of public need in the inappropriate area for a license at this location. Other businesses in this vicinity provide sufficient on-premises parking for their customers and thus have a lesser impact on neighbors. 5, the applicant proposes to offer a unique food product in the form of Italian cuisine. There are a number of restaurant establishments in North Reading that specialize in Italian foods. 2 other local establishments specializing in Italian food hold liquor licenses to adequately serve the needs of the public. The uniqueness of the applicant's business is far outweighed by the serious parking and overall safety concerns with this location. The applicant's use is permitted by zoning, but the board must exercise its discretion in evaluating locations for alcoholic beverage licenses. 6, the board found that notwithstanding the efforts by the applicant to address the safety concerns raised by the police department during the all-alcoholic beverages license hearing in 2009, there remain serious concerns that are inherent to this location and may be aggravated by introducing a business that is open at night and serving alcoholic beverages. That's a motion.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. O'Leary, seconded by Mr. Vino. Discussion.
If I may, a couple issues with the motion, subsidiary findings. 1, I think it's inaccurate to say that all parties acknowledge there are insufficient on-premises parking. It's not my recollection of what was presented at the last hearing. In point number 3 of the motion, I don't recall the police department showing any evidence of any accidents at the intersection at all. My recollection of what was presented by Chief Nolan is that there were accidents in and around the area, none that he could pinpoint to the particular intersection in question. On paragraph 5, in terms of there being other establishments specializing in Italian foods, I know of one, unless we're considering pizza to be another establishment that specializes in Italian foods, and I wouldn't equate pizza being Italian food. And there's no restaurant on that side of town at all that services the community on that side, the east side of North Reading. And paragraph 6, my issue with the subsidiary findings as drafted is that if we take a position that adding alcohol may